I'm going to be installing a Grassflap. This is a 2024 Gravely Turn ZX, but this will apply to anything. This is the 52, but anything with the, for sure, with the X Factor 3 deck, because from my understanding they're all the same except for the width. So the Turn ZX, Turn Z, ZTHD, ZT, and who knows what else. Now your existing chute will come off. Okay, the first step is to get this mounted. Now, what they want you to do, or one of the instructions, is you've got to get this vertical so when it shuts, you know, you have to leave room for that rubber flap here, but about right here, and you can see how much this would be shimmed up to clear this, and also how much above. I mean, I would rather have this down here. Right, this to me is the way it should be, but there's two things in the way. This bolt, which you can just unscrew, and this thing. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to see where I want this, and I'm just going to cut a slot in it where I can slide this up. So let me sit here and play with the positioning of it and figure out where I want to cut. Okay, the step is to install the spring mount. Now this hole just goes over this nut. You don't take this apart. Then you put it like this. This nut comes through here. And 1/2-inch bolt. And this has got some adjustment here, so I'm assuming we'll mess with that later. From the edge of this ruler, looks like I need to go 3 over from 1, whatever that is. So what I'm going to do is, to begin this, I'm actually going to measure and center punch it and drill a hole so I have a nice curved edge, and then I'll cut to the hole. So let me get a drill bit and figure out how big of a hole I need, and then we'll go from there. So from the edge of this obstruction, I believe we said 1, 2, 3 over. And I'll put the center right there, and that'll give us a little extra room. So instead of this being the end of the slot, this will be the center of the hole. And so the hole kind of curve around like this. It'll get a little more. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty much right on the center of it. And I could, like I said, I could take this and scoot it over to take advantage of this hole. The problem is we run into this. If I wanted to take advantage of that hole, there, that's tight. It might barely fit, because if I have to grind a little bit off of this carriage bolt for this to sit flush, I can. But then that'll let me, I'll put a bolt in here, a bolt in here. Then I can use this, put a bolt here. And then if I think it's wobbly, I can add another bolt. So the center will be right there. Yeah, that'll be good. This came out, I'm going to touch this up a little bit, but this came out fine. This is sitting, it's firmly down. The only thing we have to do is we want to take advantage of this hole in the deck. We'll have to open that hole up a bit, but I don't mind doing that. I've already chopped this thing up enough, so it's one more hole ain't going to kill anything. And I drilled a hole here and then kind of milled it back and forth to create another slot, so I can use this existing screw. And the other thing I did is on the back, you can see I took the flat disc and just ground a bevel right here, a relief for this weld. Now I've got plenty of room to get this where I want it. So the next step will be to drill a hole here, drill a hole here, and then get the bracket where we want it. So it'll be held on by a bolt here. I'll probably put it down here so they don't interfere. One here, one here, one there. And I'm not worried about adding a second bolt over here. Honestly, I don't even think I need to do this one, because this thing is so overbuilt, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is like, what is that, a 1/4 inch steel? I mean, it's 5/16, I don't know. This little piece of metal right here is plenty to hold this thing together. So let me get a bolt in here and we'll figure this out. Yeah, I've got those 2 nuts on there, and what I've done is I put them right to the edge of this circle, so that'll give me a little play this way and play this way. Get those drilled out. So let me go find which drill bit I'm going to need for that. I'm going to do the same thing over here, and then we'll come back. You don't want it to rust, so there we go. We'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll start fitting it, the final fitment. So let's get this. So that looks about right where we want it. We go back and redo the step that I undid, which is like they have it on step 1, which is install this. And I don't know if you've noticed, but so you can adjust, I guess this is it, how you want to point the cable. This has a pivot here. And you figure out where you want, you know, what you want your cable going down, and you want it kind of pointed up. And I've got the deck in its travel position, so it's as high as it's going to get right now. So I think I'll just kind of snug this a little bit. That's one thing. They have really good instructions on their website. I'm just deviating from their instructions because because I'd prefer to have a clean look and not use spacers, but that's really personal preference. And what I mean by that is I'd like to have this sitting down on the deck and not spaced up. I just think it looks cleaner like that. Now what we're supposed to do is measure and trim. To trim this, so I put a little mark here to where when you raise it up, where the bottom, the cut should be, and I did the same on the back. So the length probably end it right here. Yeah, let's say end it about where it comes down about right here, and then we'll curve it in. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm actually just using a sharp razor, or fresh blade, and just taking multiple swipes at it. The problem is this clamp is in the way, so let me relocate it. So let me finish, but yeah, you can use a sharp utility knife to cut it. You can see how I've got it jigged up here. So alright, now we've got a nice rounded corner there. Okay, the next step is to start to attach the blocker plate to this metal flap. And so I've got it taped onto the plate where I want it. It's barely proud right here. You can just barely catch it with your finger. Same over here. So you start off with a 1/4 inch bit and you're supposed to drill a hole here. And then one down here. Okay. Now we're going to install T-nuts. What you'll do, and I have X is the side that faces the mower. This is like faces the blades. So you take one of these, this is the T-nuts, kind of stick it in this hole, try to get it started. This is a 1/4 inch hole, 1/4 inch drill bit. You take this driver tool that comes with it, and it helps for me to start over be on a piece of wood, something soft, and get it started. You got to hit it kind of hard. Once it starts, once you get it down about right here, it's almost closed, then pull it over off the edge. And then it's pretty much flush, and you'll see that it barely protrudes right here. So that's why you want to kind of pull it over. Okay, now that we have those two installed, it comes with these screws, and they've got a little bit of like Loctite or something on them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and drill the rest of these holes out and install the T-nuts. So you've already seen me do these two, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but I'm going to go drill these out and get the T-nuts installed, and we'll come back for the next step. I'm installing the rest of these T-nuts, and what I found to get them really seated good is you can tape a washer around them, and then you can really get them seated nice and flat. Okay, now that I've got all the T-nuts installed, I'm going to take this flat disc and just touch. These sit just a hair proud, but I don't think this matters, but it just makes me feel better. So now it's nice and smooth. These are firmly seated. Now we can go on to the next step, which will be to fit this deflector. Got these 2 screws loose, and I loosened these up again. But this red tape goes against this flap, and you're supposed to slide this in here like this. Then kind of mark where you need to trim it, like right here, so this thing can shut all the way. But I don't really think I need this because I get a good seal. I mean, a perfectly flat seal, except right here. And what I've found is the T-nuts. I don't know if y'all can see that, but if you can see, there's a slight gap right here. And the reason there's a gap is these T-nuts are hitting here, but I'm pretty sure if I just cut these right here, I think they'll fit. Okay, I trimmed the edge of these T-nuts off, and now they don't hit right here. So I'm looking at this, and I'm not going to install that. I think it's just a case-by-case basis. Let me see if I can get close. You can see how tight that fit is. So, install this into the cable. So you'll pull this rubber off, slip this nut off. And they say you want just enough of this thread exposed to be able to put this rubber grommet back on. So it looks like we would probably come to, and so I've got, these are snug and this is snug, but none of this is tight yet, and you're not supposed to hook this up yet. Step is to mount the pedal, and so since this is more of a universal kit, they say mount it here or here, something like that, but I'm 6'2", and the way I sit on this thing, I mean, this is how I ride right here. And so that I don't want it right there. That would be in my way because I just have my foot resting on it. Kind of thinking right here. I kind of like this. So I can sit like this if I want. I'm not going to hit it. And then when I want to activate it, I can just pop it with my foot. Or I could stick it up here. Kind of like that. And then, but I mean, that's an exit, that's an alternate exit off the thing, and it'd get in the way. I mean, to me, right now what I'm thinking, let's try that. And it says in there you want at least a 6-inch radius, which is kind of a pretty gentle bend. So luckily, you can see I've got it right here. There's enough gap here to where I can just run it over this retaining bar, which is a good thing. That'll keep it off the pulleys, and then it'll fit behind the shield. And then we'll get the pedal mounted, and then we'll kind of scoot the cable back, try to find a good happy balance to give a nice gentle bends, and also make sure I've got enough room for when this deck's going up and down. So let's install the pedal. Take this, whatever you want to call it, stick it in here, pull it through like that. Okay, I'm going to unhook this spring, and that's what they recommend in their video, just so that you're not fighting this thing. I'm going to take this thing, go. Put a cotter key in there, or whatever you call these things. I call them cotter key. Cotter pin all bent up nice and tight. So now, as on the other side, pull this boot off, unscrew this. Now they say you want just like 1 or 2 threads showing right here, all right? Pushed in, and then get this threaded on. And then also in there, there's that rubber boot. Is to go ahead and get this zip tie on here. Not tight, but you know, just where it's, once you get it, everything where you want it, then you'll tighten it up. I've decided I want to put some of this rubber tread here, at least 2 strips of it, like this, and then I'll place this on top. But before I do that, I need to cut out the handle. So let me see if this hole, yeah, that's about perfect. So I'm going to use this hole saw to cut. You know, the hole in this tread, and then trace it out so we get a nice cut out. Okay, now let me go get a drill and we'll drill those holes out. Now I'm not using the hardware they supplied just because I don't want to enlarge the holes in my deck yet. You know, if I don't like this mount and I want to move it somewhere else, I will, but so far I haven't done any modification to the mower. So let's see, we got one there, and there. There we go. Yeah, I like it. Now that I've got the cable where I want it, I'm gonna mount this up high at that angle because it looks the best, and this deck will never get higher than this. It'll always be going down. So now they want you to attach this spring . All right. This bushing goes in here, and then they want you to put it in this way so the cotter pin doesn't interfere with anything. Okay, let me get some. Alright, that's sufficiently mangled. Okay, now that we've got that hooked up, get this flap where it's balanced. It's like halfway open and closed, right? And then you see how the pedal is really high? it's sticking up high, you want it down. You want it just barely above the stopper. So the way to adjust that pedal is to adjust this. So if we loosen this and basically bring the cable in, it'll lower that pedal. So so I'm talking about, take this nut, cable comes in, pedal goes down, and I'll show you. So let me pull it back out. Now watch the pedal, I'm letting it in. So let's see what it's like. Almost maxed out. Because basically, from what the installation said is when you have it in this position, you want to barely be able to push on the pedal and have it touch the stop. Yeah, I think that's good. Basically, what you want it to happen is when you're mashing on this, you want the pedal to hit the stop before you start stretching the cable. So that's what you're trying to accomplish. So sometimes it helps me, instead of just telling me what to do, like, okay, what am I trying to stop from happening? You're trying to stop getting this cable so tight that if you pound on this gorilla style on this thing, it's just going to stretch the cable. Having this thing hit a stop right here is like a safety mechanism. And so what I'm going to probably do, I'm going to tighten these up, start as loose, start the pedal as down as far as I can, where it'll still work, but I think this will be good. So let me get a wrench and tighten. I'm going to tighten these two nuts and tighten those two nuts. I'm going to tighten these. There we go. Now, of course, my pre-placed zip tie came out, so let me go get another one of those. It's either got to get another one or unbolt this, and I'd rather just use another zip tie, so I'll be right back. And this is to hold the cable straight, because you don't want to put any bind, you don't want to put any pressure on this joint right here. Okay, the way to adjust it, you're supposed to get it in here and find the neutral position to where it just kind of sits here. And then go push on the pedal and see if it wants to go down or up. And when we do it, it wants to go down. So if it wants to go down, you need to increase the spring tension. Quarter, 3/4, 1, quarter, 3/4, 2. So we did 2 turns. Now let's see what happens. Nothing. One, 2, 3. All right, let's see how that acts. There we go. All right, so now you know, and you can see I've almost got that spring maxed out. So if you get the spring as tight as you can and it's not enough, just remember this is slotted, so this mount right here can pivot down, and if you go down, you're increasing this, you're actually adding spring tension, and you're also giving it a better angle. So now it works. So really the only thing left to do, we've got everything installed, everything's tight. The thing to do now is to really pay attention to our cable routing. They include these a couple of these cable retainers. So I think I'll use one here. And they include self-tappers, but I'm using my own hardware. Now, I don't know if y'all can see back in there, but this cable could hang down like that, right? You get close to that belt, but it looks like in the back of this, looks like there's a hole right there that I can tie into. Let's see, we'll put it all the way down at the lowest level. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, except for getting some footage of this thing in use, I'm calling this done. Okay, overall, I really love the Grassflap. I've always been somebody who mulches, and so the ability to basically turn the mulching off and sit there and use the deck to blow stuff, and you can kind of go in circles and blow it in a pile, then shut it and mulch. It's just really cool. And I found myself, it only took me 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it was second nature. I wasn't even thinking about it, you know. I ended up tightening that spring just a hair more, and now it's like, it's pretty much consistent, open, close, open, close. I'm not having any trouble with it. Highly recommended. And I think the modifications I did are the way to go. I mean, I think this is the ideal setup for, at least for this mower. I added another, also I didn't film it, but I added another retainer here. And so it has a nice gentle bend here, and then it comes over to another gentle bend. It doesn't pinch it right there. And that's a good location because it's not in your way at all, whether you have your feet up here or have your feet back. It's easy to get to. I usually hit it with my right foot. So as far as mounting it there, and then the modifications I did to this bracket to get it to sit flush, that's definitely the way to go. I mean, you can do it the way if you want to use the spacers, I think that would work fine, but I just think you're going to get a better seal if this piece of metal's all the way down as far as you can get it. So 2 thumbs up, thing's awesome, and once again, I don't know if I said it, but this thing, the Grassflap thing, is built like I mean, this thing will outlast this mower 10 times, and this is a commercial mower, so I mean, that thing is never going to wear out. It is like old school, made in American, heavy steel. Everything's way overbuilt, so the quality is just second to none. So if you got any questions about the install, the Grassflap, the mower, anything else, just leave a comment and let me know. Hope this helped you out. See ya.
We'll stop here and watch them pull this stack. See that big white thing? That's a big net. All the way from this ship all the way around that big circle. This other white boat, his net's just as long. He just has most of it wrapped up. I can see fish boiling already. Oh yeah. We'll watch this. We're gonna roll these fish in a little bit here. Hang on.
We're gonna stop and watch for a while.
Yeah. We're gonna watch that boat over there. Watch him suck all the fish in.
That one right there. See how they're pulling the net up?
You see all the fish boil in there.
See how the fish are starting to fall out?
You got a lot of fish. Oh, I got too much inside this other guy's net. Darn it, that boat's rolling around the other way. See the other boat's net's right there, and he might think I might chase fish out of his set,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to go driving around inside this guy's set right now.
Yeah, you can see how that little skiff is pulling on that.
Yeah. We got this side of them. Okay, they already rolled the bag, so they got the whole net on.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they turned so we couldn't see those fish from over the deck. But
You
can
can see
them
a little
all
bit of it,
boiling.
yeah.